Alright, welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be looking at my Chaotic Overworld deck. Um, Chaotic was a card game that lasted about 5-6 years-ish, between 2007 to about 2013-ish, and now it's out of production and very hard to find, also a very expensive card game to get into. Um, there are rumors that it might be coming back in about a year or so, but they've been saying that for about a year or so. So obviously, um, it's a possibility, but I would say it's very low. But yeah, I'll go ahead and kind of explain how the game works as I kind of go through this. So here is my creature Iliar. The best way I can kind of explain how this game works is it's kind of like Flesh and Blood, if you've ever played that, but I'll go deeper into the mechanics as I go through. So you have a heart here, that is the creature's courage. You have a power here, that is the lightning bolt for 50. And then you have wisdom with the eye, the blue eye with 90. And you have this green arrow, which is the creature's speed. So then over here you have the elements that they use. So he doesn't have fire, but he does have wind, and he does have earth, but he doesn't have water, so the four elements there. He has an ability that says attacks with a build cost of 2 played against him deal 0. So there are attack cards in the game that deal damage when the creatures are fighting each other, and if it has a build cost of what it says, he's unaffected by it. I guess not unaffected is the right word, but he doesn't take any damage. Over here you have the creature's health, essentially. They call it energy, but it's their health. So when it hits 0, they die. Then you have the creature's music counters. Overworlders tend to have about 1 or 2 for the most part. So he has 2. So there's another mechanic to the game called music cards, and you can basically -2 or -1 here, whatever the cost is for the card, and play the card for that cost. And they kind of work like instances and well, I guess instances in for Magic players. I'm going to be comparing this game to Magic because I know that game pretty well. Um, so yeah, you would start with 2 and then you minus it. There are some effects in the game that give creatures music counters, but those are very, impractical for the most part. So I built my deck around um, having high wisdom and high water attack, or having water attacks. So this gives him water 5, so water attacks deal an extra 5 damage. So he doesn't have water, and then that would give him water. So put him here in the front row. Next to him would be Cicely, 85 wisdom, and water 5. So they're going to deal an extra 5 damage with every water attack. And then he has outperform wisdom 5, so any wisdom attacks, he's going to deal another 5 damage. So any attacks really that I play, he's going to be dealing extra 5 or even 10 damage. So that's pretty good. And he's got 60 health too, which is decent. Clodor, very iconic from the TV show. He's got really high wisdom, so he's the sharpest guy in my, I guess, lineup here. he has an effect where whenever he wins a wisdom challenge, he gains a music. So there's a lot of challenges, attacks that I run for wisdom. So he's going to be getting a lot of music counters from that. And then he'll be able to use his music to run the uh, music cards. So he doesn't have any water, so I had to give him a turret to give him water, and he'll be able to do um, an extra 5 damage on top of it. So, all right. In the next row, we have Victar. Victar is not like a very good card, but he's just very iconic from for me, really, nostalgia purposes. He's the dumbest one of the group with the 75 wisdom. So he had like a 3.0 and he didn't cut it, I guess. But lucky for him, I gave him Staff of Wisdom, which gives him 25 wisdom. I'm running him because I think his ability is pretty interesting. If his courage and wisdom are higher than the other creature's courage and wisdom, so the creature that he's fighting, their first attack is going to deal 0 damage to him. So with the buff, he's going to have 80 courage and 100 wisdom. So he's probably going to get that ability off quite a bit. He only has 40 health, but he does have water too, which helps. Back there. So next I have Blugon. Blugon is also another nostalgia card for me. He was in the anime as well. He has Water 5, so it deals an extra 5 damage with water attacks. And I had to get one with a decent wisdom um, stat, so he has 80, which is pretty good, and that's gonna help with most of the attacks in this build here. I have Mind Prism for him. It's not a very good card, but it gives him extra health buff because he might get one-shotted by other creatures with 45 health. Next, I have Unda. So they have a magic ability where you can -1 and target creature will gain water. She also has 90 wisdom, which is really good. So this helps with Clodor when he needs, if he loses his water element, she can just give it to him, or really any of these creatures here that don't have water, she can help them out if they lose that in combat. So she also has a good wisdom check, so I had to put her in here. Okay, so how the game kind of works is you have your front row, your back row, and then your far back row. There's specific names for these. I don't really remember what they're called, but anyway. So your opponent will have a similar setup to what you have. They'll have 3 in the front, 2 in the back, but their 3 will be in front of your 3, and then their 2 will be behind them, and then the 1 will be in the back for them. So our back end, the objective of the game is to kill all of your opponent's creatures in combat. And so start of the game, I'll say, okay, Iliar will fight whoever's in their front row, and they will fight. And then if my guy wins, he takes the spot, and then the opponent will then declare an attack with one of his creatures, one of their creatures, and fight whoever is in front of them. So they can fight, any of these guys in the front. So go on to the attacks. So how the attacks work is you get a build cost. So up here in the top left is a build cost. So this is 0. You can only have a build cost of 20 total for all your cards for attacks. And this build cost must equal 20. So that was kind of like how their way of balancing the game, so people weren't running like, you know, 20 like 5 build cost attack cards, so because otherwise that would be pretty horrible for the game. So this attack here deals 10 water damage. That's what that means. And then you do for this, your creature will lose water until the end of the turn. Well, essentially the end of combat, really. So it's more of a finishing card where your opponent's creature's at like 10 health or whatever, and you play that and you kill them. You have to play this early. I have Unda or Unda, I'm not sure how to say it, who will just give them water back. So I'm running 2 of these. Next up is Quick Exit. It has challenge 15 wisdom and it deals 10 damage. So challenge wisdom 15 means like if my creature has 15 or more wisdom than their creature, it's going to deal 10 damage. So it is a challenge too. So if I play this with Clodor or any of the creatures that have the amplifying wit attack, it's going to deal an extra 5 damage. But for Clodor, it's really good because you can get an extra music counter. So I'm running 2 of these. I had to put these in here because, there's only so much you can put in for 0 because you kind of have to balance how your deck works, because you can't just put in like a bunch of really good cards with high build cost and not have any like terrible cards with 0. So this one's really bad. Stat check, 50 wisdom, deal 5. So for the most part, this can deal 5 damage unless they have the amplifier outperform. Then it's going to deal another 5, but it's all right. Up next, we have Outsmart. So if the opposing creature's wisdom is more than opposing creature's speed, deal 5. If it isn't, they lose 10 wisdom. So it's not very good, but it costs 0 and it's kind of like a wisdom attack that they can get off for about 5 damage or so. Magician still, so it costs 0. So my creature loses water, and then this is a really good card for this deck because it also has the water attack trigger. So like if any of my creatures have water 5, like this Torrent right here has a water 5 with Iliar, he's going to deal that 5 damage too. So even though that says 0, he will lose water, but you can remove a music from your opponent's creature and then your creature gains it. So you're basically taking away a resource from them with this. So it's pretty good. Up next is the 1 cost attacks. So I have Foot Force and deals 15 water. And if they have the Torrent, they're going to deal 20 to these. Then we have Piercing Brilliance. Challenge 15 for Wisdom, deal 10. And then as a stat check as well, where the opponent creature will lose 15 Wisdom as well. So it deals damage and it decreases your opponent's Wisdom, so it makes their creatures dumber. The last one for the 1 build is Unsanity. So is the challenge of 15 again, deal 10, and it has a water trigger as well. So that's why that's in here. Also, this works really well for Iliar because it has wind as well. So it's going to deal 20 or so, but in a perfect world, that's what would happen. But most of the time, this can deal about 15 to 20. Up next is the 2 cost. So we have Caustic Cascade, and this is 20 water. So every creature has water, so they're going to be dealing 20 to 25 damage. 2 of those. Also, Chaotic has a rule that you can only have 2 of each card. So you can only have 2 of every, like 2 creatures. You can only have 2 with the same name. You can only have 2 attacks with the same name. You can only have 2 equipments with the same name. So that was their way of kind of balancing that out as well. So this has Mind Strike, Stat Check. Stat Check means like my creature has that. So all of my creatures have above 70 wisdom, so it's going to deal 15, and it's going to deal an extra 5 damage for water. So I have 2 of these. It was just a good card, so I couldn't really take it out. And then I have Sleep Sting, so it has 10 base damage. So it's going to deal 10 no matter what. And then it has a Wisdom challenge for 15, so deal 10. So it's going to be dealing 20 damage minimum. And I have Rain Spears. This is my big attack of the deck here. So it deals 10 base, 10 water damage, and it has stat check 60, deal 10. So this, for most creatures, is going to deal minimum 30 damage. Maximum is going to deal probably about 40, so which would kill a lot of creatures. So up next is the rhyme or the music counters. I was looking at the name of the card. So Mujic's abilities. So this is what they look like, and this is the cost. So this costs 1 Mujic to activate. So for Sicily, he has 1. I would have to take away his Mujic, so he has 0 to activate this. Rhyme of the Reckless. So when an attack deals damage to you, basically to your creature, you will deal that damage back. So it's a good way to, you could at the very least, like deal that much damage back to them and possibly just kill their creature with this. So I have 2 of these. It's a really good card. Like, because there's a lot of attacks in the game that deal a lot of damage. So if you can, at the bare minimum, trade with their creature with that big attack that they have, that's a pretty good trade-off. Or this would actually put you ahead in some cases. I got 2 of these. It's a really good card. I have Melody of Miracles. Cost 2, heal 15 damage to my creature. If my creature won a Wisdom challenge that turn, it costs 0. So it is a free card to activate if my creature won a Wisdom challenge. So it's really good in this deck, obviously, because almost all my creatures are going to win Wisdom challenges all the time. So this is going to basically keep them in the fight for a little bit longer. Next is Composition of Concentration. That is quite the name. Cost 1. Target creature gains 30 in discipline of your choice until end of turn. So this has a couple applications. One is for Victar. If his courage is too low before combat, I can activate this, so that way he gains the extra 30 courage, and he can win that. His effect will trigger, and then the first attack that they do is not going to do anything. So basically, it's going to guarantee that. It also can guarantee wisdom challenges as well. So if some of them are too low for some of my creatures, I can activate this and bump them up. Echoes of Empty Hands. So cost 1, destroy all battle gear equipped to target engaged creature. That creature gains 10 energy till end of turn. So this is like a safety net for me. And it can also be used on offense and defense. So if my creature's about to die, I can play this, and then they gain the 10 energy to survive till my next turn, and then I could, hopefully my creature wins the fight on my next attack. So this is just there as a safety net. You can also destroy your opponent's, battle gear, but then they would gain the 10 energy. But if the battle gear is like really good, then you want to go ahead and take care of it with this. Last one. So you can only have 6 Mujik cards. So this is the last one. So target creature gains 10 energy and 10 wisdom. So it's really good for this deck, obviously, because it gains us a little bit more wisdom and also heals us or gives us some more health during the fight. Up next is, now the ruling on these Mujik cards is like you can kind of play them basically whenever you want. They're like instances, I guess, in like Magic terms, as long as you have the Mujik to pay for them. So it does get kind of wonky with like the rulings on these cards in particular. Like for attack cards, so let's say it goes like my creature declares an attack on the opponent's creature. They engage in combat. So he plays his attack card. Whoever gains initiative, I'll get to that in a second, but say my creature wins the initiative, I get to play the first attack. So I'll play this. It's going to deal 30 damage to their creature. And then it goes to them, and then they play an attack to deal damage to my creature. So it goes back and forth like that until one of them dies. And then you can play these as like finishers or buffs or whatever you need. So how you determine the initiative is based on these, which are locations, and these get revealed like when the opponent declares an attack. Actually, I think it's before that. The location gets revealed, and then they can declare an attack. So all these are just basic like lands. These are all just basic locations, so there's nothing really too great about them. This one is just here, so it has initiative wisdom. So whoever has the highest wisdom will get the first attack. So obviously, I based all my locations on my creatures having high wisdom. So what would happen is like this gets revealed, so it's wisdom, and then I would declare an attack, and these battle gear would be face down, so my opponent doesn't know what I'm playing. So you would declare an attack, and so I'm in battle now, and then my battle gear gets revealed, and then I gain the initiative because I have the highest wisdom. So that means I get to attack first. A lot of these are just like making sure that I gain the initiative because you're more likely to win if you attack first. So this one just like also when it becomes an active location, this one also like filters my hand. So if I have 2 attacks in my hand that are like 0 build cost or not very good, I can pitch them and draw 2 more and get the ones that I need. Forest Alive is 2 of these. Initiative Wisdom again. But this one has a clause where if the creature with the highest power gains a little bit more energy. but a lot of my guys have decent um, power, so I'm not really worried about it. You have Fear Valley, so initiatives wisdom, and then the creature with the lowest courage was 10 energy. This works really well with Victar because he already has high courage, and a lot of my creatures have high courage, except for Hodor and Lugon, but it is what it is. This one has initiative wisdom, and the creatures lose 10 all disciplines, so it's not really that big of a deal. All right, I think that's all I have for you guys.